later in the day, it could hurt student achievement possibly.
Okay. And on the other side of the coin, there's probably at least a few students that do a little bit better later in the day too, would you say? Okay.
Yeah, it probably varies.
Yeah.
It'd probably be ideal if you could have, for kids that do better in the morning, you'd have the early start. For people that do better later, you'd have the adjustment so they can stay later. If it was more flexible, it'd probably be better.
Yeah, that's actually a really good approach. You could perhaps have the student choose sort of a first term or second term class. Okay, and I'm just going to go through each of you one by one and just ask a question. John, what do you think should be the #1 priority for public schooling? Do you think it should be the education provided by the schools, or sort of the social atmosphere, the sports, the talking with friends and that sort of stuff?
I'll probably say education.
Education.
It's more of a long-term thing, so you can build on the futures of people instead of just like immediately.
Okay. Social stuff, I would say, is also pretty long-term because it teaches you how to network in the future. But I definitely agree with you that the education in the long term is a lot more important than socializing. Selena, how would you answer that?
I think it's go socially.
Socially?
Yeah, it's because when you see your friends, that's your main time you ever see them. Is most of them are school.
Is that the school?
Yeah, socially.
And you feel that sort of plays a bigger part in your life than the education, perhaps? Maybe some of the classes you don't even use later on in life and that sort of thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Janie, what would you think?
I think education-wise.
That should be the #1 priority.
Yeah, because really high school is a building block for college or technical school, whatever career path you choose to go on, and a good solid education at that level is very wise to get, I believe.
And what would be your opinion on this, man?
Well, I think both are important because I think a lot of times the extra activities and so forth really help a person develop and find their talents and so forth, that if you're only focused solely on academics, maybe some of that would be missed. So I think after school clubs and those types of things are not equal in importance to academics, but I still think they're really important.
Yeah, and I have one thing to add, I think I would do worse academically if I didn't have really good friends, just helping out and being with in classes, so
okay.
I think that'd be pretty important too.
So if you feel your social life took a hit, probably your academic life would follow. Okay, and while you sort of feel like there's a balance to be struck in between those two things, that neither one really needs to outweigh the other, just sort of find a happy medium.
I think every student should be involved in activities because I think it just makes them more well-rounded.
Okay. And that makes a little bit more sense against school start times, because activities would definitely take a hit. After school activities, like for example the chess club might have to become before school activities, and who wants to play chess at like 7:30 in the morning? That might hurt activities.
Yeah, I think so. There is one more thing too about starting school late and going more close to the evening or whatever, and that would be the impact that would have on students who work, because there's a lot of students that have part-time jobs, and a lot of times will start those jobs at maybe 4 or 5 o'clock or something, and if school pushed into some of those work hours, it could have an impact on students who need that money for whatever purpose. Some of them are helping their families and stuff.
That's a good point too. Sleep. Scientists theorize that sleep problems in the formative years can cause permanent changes in a child's brain structure, irreversible changes that can't be slept off, such like a hangover could be. And they further theorize that it is possible that many of the hallmark characteristics of being a teen, preteen, such as moodiness, depression, and binge eating, are actually just symptoms of chronic sleep deprivation. Now, with those things taken in mind, perhaps a later school start time would be a little bit more felicitous, since it probably would help them get at least a little bit more sleep. Although John brings up a great point that he might just stay up with his friends a little bit later, or, play computer games or watch TV or whatever, just a little bit more with that extra hour of sleep. But with those effects in mind, they sort of show that it might be a little bit more serious than what most people think. Would you say?
Mhm.
That perhaps a teenager isn't just the moody, depressive person, because those are symptoms of chronic sleep deprivation. So any steps we could take to alleviate that would be good if possible, I believe. And there's another study here done by Dr. Avi Sudeh. He's a doctor at the Tel Aviv University, and she took a sample size of 77 students, and she gave them a slip of paper that said, go to bed earlier or go to bed later, and that's all it said. And she had a wristwatch sort of thing that monitored their sleep activity, and the students that were told to go to bed earlier with just a little slip of paper got 30 more minutes of sleep than the students that were told to go to bed later. And they found a correlation between the IQ scores from the before and after to be a 7-point reduction in IQ scores with the ones that were told to go to bed later. So that just adds a little bit more fuel to the fire to that academic side of the debate. And I think we'll just wrap things up here. Do you have anything final to say?
Well, I think, the idea of if it were possible to make school more flexible based on the students' needs would be the best. If that could be worked out, I think that's what school should do.
Okay. And Jane?
Mm-hmm. I just think probably later school times, might be a good option to consider, because I can just sort of see kids probably doing better having that extra hour.
Okay. Celine?
Yeah, I know. If you start later, you get much more sleep. It really help with your classes.
Okay. John?
Well, yeah, I can see everything that the debate for it, but
Mm-hmm.
just for me, I sort of want to get it over with.
I definitely think so. And with that, I think we will end this.